Good evening. Do we have any Game of Thrones fans in the house? A few. The rest of you should definitely watch it. One of my favorite moments in the entire series is before the night of a big battle, and Robb Stark looks to his father Ned, and he's afraid, and he says, "Can I still be brave if I'm afraid?" And Ned Stark turns to him and he says, "You can only be brave when you're afraid." Getting to know the social entrepreneurs that you've met tonight over the last few months, I've seen the incredible bravery and courage that has taken them to get to this point. To step up with an idea, to put yourself out there, to try and change something, takes incredible courage. And so to all of you, it's such an honor for us to welcome you into the Social Entrepreneurs Ireland family tonight. It's incredible to see what you've achieved to date, and we're really looking forward to being a part of your journey for this next stage as well. I'm so excited to see what you're going to achieve in the years to come, and we're just delighted to be a part of it. So thank you again, and well done on everything you've done to date. Social Entrepreneurs Ireland is 15 years old this year, and I guess we from the very beginning, we're an organization that lived with courage from the very start, taking chances on big ideas, backing people for their potential, not because of what they've done to date, but for their potential. That is risky and it takes courage, but we've done that since the very beginning, from day one. When we started, it was at the height of the Celtic Tiger. So we were at a time in Ireland when there was more resources than ever going into tackling our social problems. But yet we weren't seeing the needle move on some of the biggest issues as much as you might have hoped. More resources alone wasn't the answer. The current system at that time, and still today, the current system can be too slow, often missing, and in some cases just not good enough, as Arvind mentioned earlier. We need to develop a process for identifying social problems in our communities, for coming up with solutions and ideas, and for rolling them out at scale. And that process can be delivered by social entrepreneurs. They see things in our community, in our society, that nobody else can see, both in the problem and the opportunities that exist to solve it. And they're willing and able to do things that nobody else can do to solve them. So 15 years later, we've supported 300 social entrepreneurs along the way, and we've seen that with the right supports, those people with ideas can go all the way from that idea through to solving a problem at scale. Thomas Edison says that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. And I can tell you for sure that that is the case for social entrepreneurs. People come with a big idea, a big ambition for what they want to do, but it takes a long time and it's a hard journey to move from that idea through to having a big impact. We kind of define the journey for social entrepreneurs. We think about it as being very unclear, very risky at key stages, and it's a lonely journey. Or as one social entrepreneur I was speaking to a few months ago, we were talking about kind of the breakthrough that she'd made. She'd made this massive breakthrough that morning and really made a real difference. But it's like 7 years later after she started, and she turned to me and she just took a deep breath and she said, "It's a feckin' long journey to change." And when you're in it, you don't see the change happening. And that's true. You can be fighting for something for so long and making strides, but it's so hard to see that change in real time. Another social entrepreneur who really inspires me, I was speaking to her about why she does it if the journey is so hard. This is a social entrepreneur who has a young family, a child with a learning disability, and is really, struggles for finances. It's a difficult journey for her. And so when I'm, asking her why does she keep on fighting to bring about change? And she said, "You know what, ultimately, it's easier to do it than not to do it." Yeah. But I've never met a social entrepreneur who said the journey wasn't worth it. But we can't let them do it alone. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." I've heard that quote so many times that it's lost all meaning to me. I don't know about you guys, but I've heard it since I was about 20, and I was like, yeah, I get it. People can change the world, that's great. But I read it again recently, and it really sparked something in me, is that committed people can change the world. Committed people can change the world. And well, then I held up a mirror and thought, well, what does it really mean to be committed? And for all of us, what would it truly mean to be fully committed to solving the social problems that we face in Ireland? And I think there's more that all of us could do. It always feels to me like the social entrepreneurs are carrying a little bit too much of that burden. That journey is long, it's lonely, it's risky, it's unclear. So we're looking internally, and I think all of us, it's an amazing thing to reflect on, is that what more could we do to support the social entrepreneurs on their journey? At Social Entrepreneurs Ireland, we're going through a new strategy at the moment, which we'll be sharing with you in the months to come. And it's really looking at when that journey is most unclear, how can we show them the path? How can we make that journey easier? When it's at its most risky, how can we reduce that risk? How can we support people along the way? And because the journey is always going to be lonely, how can we surround them with a community of support so that they never have to do it alone? Imagine if you're a social entrepreneur and you know that there is a committed community of hundreds of people behind you, supporting you every step of the way. That doesn't just give funding. That gives courage. That gives you the courage to act. That gives you the courage to drive an idea. That gives you the courage to stand up for what really matters. And when times get tough, that gives you the courage to keep going. We don't all have to be social entrepreneurs if we want to change the world, but all of us can join them on their journey. Thank you.